Hi guys, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Upside Down Books. Today I thought I would talk about something that I am incredibly passionate about, and that is Doctor Who. If you don't know what Doctor Who is, then I don't really know where you've been living, because I feel like Doctor Who is something that's sort of everywhere. I mean, fair enough if you don't know the details, but Doctor Who is life. As you probably know, I am really quite a big fan. I'm currently wearing my Don't Blink earrings, I have my David Tennant t-shirt, I have my exploding TARDIS background, and if you could see the rest of my room, you would be in no doubt that I am a Whovian through and through. But today I not only wanted to discuss a little bit of Doctor Who, I mostly wanted to talk to you about the Doctor Who novels. I feel like the Doctor Who novels are a great mystery in the bookish universe that belongs to the Whovians. So many people ask me when I talk about having read them or wanting to read one, they go, oh well, isn't it just boring, isn't it just the stories you see in the TV show in book format? And this is really wrong. So number one lesson to take away from here, everything in the Doctor Who novels is basically bonus content for all the characters that you love. So how the Doctor Who novels work is they're relatively short novels, they may be between 200 to 300 pages long, and there are, let's say, a pool of authors that the BBC Books uses to write these stories, so that you can get different stories written by different authors, so you can have your favourite authors that write particular stories that you like, and they use all the Doctors and all of their companions. Let me just show you all the Doctor Who books that I currently have within arm's reach. This is going to end badly. I'm going to drop all of these. Right. Look at this. Look at this haul. So yeah, I have a few Doctor Who books. Just a few. I believe this is all of them. It's not bad, if you ask me. I have 3 in paperback and the rest in hardback because I don't even know. I can't remember how I got most of these. I think I got a lot of them off the book depository. They're not particularly expensive in hardback for once. But I actually had a family friend who had an entire crate of these left in her house from someone else, and she doesn't like Doctor Who, so I was like, I volunteer as tribute to take all of them. So yeah, these are my Doctor Who books. Let me put them down before someone gets hurt. As a quick side note, if you do want to see what all of those books are, I have gone through them in my previous bookshelf tour. It'll be in part 2 right towards the end of the video if you just want to have a quick look. So, as an example, this is a Doctor Who book. Coincidentally one that I have not read. This is Winner Takes It All. It's done by Jacqueline Rayner, and she's one of my favourite Whovian authors, and they're published by BBC Books. So they're little hardback books that are quite short, and this one, for example, has 250 pages in it. This one obviously follows Rose and the Doctor in his 9th regeneration. So for the sake of anyone who actually doesn't watch Doctor Who but is interested to know what I'm actually talking about, I'm just going to quickly give you a brief explanation. So Doctor Who is a sci-fi series that has been going on for like over 60 years now, but there was a big gap roughly between the 1960s and the 2000s where the old Doctors from 1 to 8 ran, and then there was a break, and then it got rebooted and we started again with the 9th Doctor through to the now 13th Doctor. So it's long going. Why are there so many Doctors? The premise of Doctor Who being sci-fi is that the Doctor is something called a Time Lord, and when a Time Lord is killed, providing there aren't extra complications, he can regenerate. And when he regenerates, it means that he comes back to life, but he also changes appearance. So that's why there are so many Doctors. According to Whovian law, a Time Lord's only supposed to have 11 regenerations, or is it 12 regenerations? The point is, there's like cool stuff happening with the plot. No, let's not get into that. It makes for a really fun series, right? Because it's something that can continuously keep going. We don't have to worry about actors getting old or characters being unfathomably old in their own series. And it's just, it's the best. It's honestly the most clever thing to have created, because you've just got this constant constant cycling of characters. So within each series, basically the Doctor and his current companions, who are usually humans, or they can be aliens, go on adventures and save the universe. That's basically the premise for it. They have the TARDIS. The TARDIS is a time machine. So in the Whovian world, this year, we finally got another season of Doctor Who, and we just finished season 10, and it was amazing! And we're waiting for Christmas special. So much happens. I highly recommend watching it. You will get sucked in and suddenly you will be the one wearing David Tennant on everything, because David Tennant for life! But yeah, that basically also means that in between complications with directors changing, actors changing, and just timings not happening, we accidentally have like 2 years without Doctor Who, means you need something to fill the time in. and the Doctor Who novels are a great solution to that problem. Or I mean, you could just catch up on all the previous seasons because there's obviously quite a lot of content there, but let's not get into that. So today, yes, today back on track, we're going to be talking about the Doctor Who books. So I pretty much only have books for the reboot since the 2000s with the more current Doctors, because that's what I sort of grew up watching. The reason I love Doctor Who so much is because I watched it as a kid and I got sucked into it, and now it's my religion. I do have one other book featuring the older Doctors, which I've yet to read, but it's currently acting as my tripod because who needs tripods? We can just use books, right? So all the books that I have are pretty much based on the ones from 9 through to 12. So 9 being Christopher Eccleston, 10 David Tennant, 12, I can count, and 11 Matt Smith, and 12 Peter Capaldi. So brilliant actors, all of them, absolutely fabulous. These actually come out fairly frequently. Like, I don't feel like people ever see them, no one really talks about them too much unless you're like in the super nerddom world of reading Doctor Who. But usually whenever there's a new companion out or just a new series, they'll release like a plethora of these books for us to get our hands on and read. Whilst the books themselves basically read as standalone stories, well they do, they definitely read as standalone stories, they do fit into the timeline of the series, so you can actually read these quite happily without watching the TV series, but I really don't know how much you would enjoy it being not that invested in the characters. Like, I'm here for the characters. But they do slip into it, so you do get some stories that might make a passing reference to a season that's just happened, so if you kind of look at when the books are published versus what series we were up to in that year, you might get an idea of where it's fitting into the timeline. But, you know, Doctor Who, what's a timeline? So there are a lot of books. I just can't recommend them enough. At the end of the day, this is basically me recommending that if you are a Whovian, go and read these books. If you like reading and you want some light reading, these books are light reading and they are hilarious and fun to read. This was a good book. It's set in New York and there's a mammoth. But there's just all sorts of things that go on. There's all these different stories. It's just great because you get extra time. It's like bonus time with your characters doing extra adventures. It's like a nice outlet for the creators of Doctor Who to say, hey look, this is what we've produced on TV, but look at all the ideas we have and we could do with other things. I've read several stories in these which I'm like, oh, I wish these were made into an episode. The first two books that I purchased were these two here, so these were the paperbacks that I have. The first one I read was The Clockwise Man, which is Christopher Eccleston and Rose Tyler, and then I read The Stone Rose with David Tennant and Rose Tyler. This is the best one that I've read. If you are frustrated by the lack of kissing between these two characters, may I recommend that you read this book because you will be very happy. Let me just quickly run through you what type of stories you're going to get. In this book, David Tennant and Rose Tyler find themselves following the story of a 2,000-year-old statue, find themselves back in the Roman Empire times. David Tennant fights in the Colosseum and Rose gets turned into a statue and he has to save her. This one will probably make you feel very sad. This one has the Weeping Angels. It follows Matt Smith's Doctor with the companions of Amy and Rory, and the Weeping Angels are sort of plaguing this man's life and they get involved to help him, and Rory gets touched by an angel. This one was excellent and I wish this one was made into a TV series. There's this company that's producing these watches where you can borrow time, so if you need more time to do something you can purchase time, but you're basically paying with your life. So all these people are in like debt and are dropping dead because they've run out of life to borrow. It's so much fun, and when Amy starts meddling with one of these watches, Matt Smith starts to panic because oh my god, he can't let Amy die. So that's sort of just an idea of a scope of the... Oh, that sounded violent. So that kind of gives you a little taster of the sort of stories that you will find in the Doctor Who novels. But the bottom line is that all the Doctor Who books are different to things that have happened in the series. So this is all new content. You are getting like hundreds of books for you, written nicely to fill the void of time in between series and all sorts of things when you are Doctor Who-less, so that you can just gorge on the stories between your favourite characters. I can't recommend them enough. They're all just fun for the face value that you get from them. They're cool, wacky stories and everything you want from Doctor Who. I've not found any of the authors to write the characters poorly. I've enjoyed all of them. If you haven't read them and you like Doctor Who, I cannot recommend picking up these books enough. If you're wondering which ones you should pick up, let me give you a couple of recommendations. So if you're a fan of Tennant and Rose, definitely go and find yourself a copy of The Stone Rose. Another one with Tennant and Rose that was good was The Price of Paradise. However, for another one with Tennant and Rose, which I haven't read, there is Feast of the Drowned, and this one's supposed to be really good too. I'm sure I read another one with Tennant where he was in a snow globe. If you want one with Matt Smith, Amy and Rory, definitely pick up Touched by an Angel. This one is fantastic. Yes, I just remember the one in the snow globe I don't have with me. I think it is just called the snow globe. That one was such high stakes. However, I can't remember which companion it was. For one that doesn't really have Rory in it, but mostly focuses on Amy, we've got the Forgotten Army. For another book featuring both Amy and Rory with Matt Smith, try The Glamour Chase. For David Tennant and Martha, I actually really recommend reading the books. There's one that I read whose name I can't remember because I don't have the book. I'll put a picture of it here for you though. This was really good. And these books sort of started redeeming Martha's character for me. I don't know why, but she appealed to me so much more in writing. Although that being said, the more I rewatch her season, she kind of grows on me a bit more. For Rose and Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, the Clockwise Man was actually really good, and it had the added bonus of the child that's mostly focused in this one has like quite a severe illness, so you get that sort of representation spice, if you like. And if you want one that does Christopher Eccleston, Rose and Captain Jack, because God knows we all love John Barrowman. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but I met John Barrowman and that was a great moment of my life. That is his husband as well, so there's John and Scott. Absolutely adorable. If you want a book with those characters in it, then you'll be wanting to read The Stealers of Dreams. I think that sort of covered what I wanted to say today in a very incoherent way of saying it, but yes. Doctor Who books, so underrated, so underread, can't recommend them enough. If you're a Whovian and you like reading, it's time to get into the Doctor Who books. There are so many for you to read, there's so much to fill in the Doctor Who void with, and they are just so enjoyable. They're just such simple, harmless stories that just add to the characters that you know. So make sure next time you're at the bookstore, you're going to go and have a look at the sci-fi section and see if you can find any Doctor Who books in your bookstore, because they're worth it. And I can't recommend them enough. But that is all I have for you today, so I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!